Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called If You Don't Like It. This story takes place about 2 months before I quit my job at the grocery store and started my first year of college. I was glad when I got to put my Karen manager in her place. Things had slowly started to cool down, and for the next few months it was business as usual. The old store manager had to open another store, so they brought in a new one. This one was very professional and quite kind. This store manager always recognized various employees in different departments for their hard work. This recognition of us lower employees made our Karen manager less than happy. I had started to notice a lot more people being hired, and everyone's hours suffered because of it. I found out later they did this because part-time employees could be paid less and they wanted to cut costs. The life of a retail worker. I wanted to keep making money in preparation for college, so I went into Karen manager's office and said, "Hey, Karen manager, I noticed my hours were being cut and I wanted to see if I could pick up some extra shifts." She scoffed at me and said, "It's a department-wide decision. If you want hours, go to another department. I wouldn't waste your time though." I looked at her confused and asked, "Why not? They only have hardworking employees in their departments. You wouldn't fit in." I was dumbfounded. I thought Karen's bully routine was over, but boy was I wrong. I stood there unsure what to say. Meanwhile, Karen manager had another umbrage smile plastered on her face. I just turned around and walked out of her office. I didn't know if Karen manager had already lied to the other managers or not, but I might as well ask. I first went to the meat department and explained my situation. I told the manager that our department's hours were being cut and asked if I could do anything to help them out. The meat manager smiled warmly and said, "I understand how frustrating low hours can be. We have a guy on vacation for a few weeks and we have had to stay late to wash all the pans and plates for our meat. It's simple washing and drying. You get to wear headphones within reason. And you would make what a starting meat associate would. Want the job?" I was beaming and immediately took the offer. The job was simple, as he promised, and I took it seriously. I wanted to show other managers that I was a hard worker and reliable. 3 weeks passed by with no issue. Inevitably, their missing associate came back and I had to be let go from that position. Luckily, I had spoken to the grocery manager the day before and our conversation was somewhat similar. I explained my situation and she understood. She said, "You just need to tidy up the shelves, put out products on aisle-labeled carts and help unload trucks when they come in. Your pay will be a starting grocery associate pay." For context, both types of associate pay were an increase from my normal department. I took the offer and immediately helped the grocery department. Everything was fine until grocery hired a full-time employee and I had to go back to my normal department. I expected business as usual, but I got one heck of a surprise. The first day back, Karen manager janked me into her office. "What do you think you are doing? I told you our department's hours were cut. I know, you said I could try working with other departments. You also said some other nasty things, but I don't care to repeat those." She glared at me and said, "You are making our department look bad. We are trying to cut costs, and you are burning through hours we don't have." I decided to correct this smug Karen and said, "I understand you want to cut costs, and you only have so many hours. I didn't take up any extra hours from our department. I took your rude suggestion and worked for other departments that were short-staffed and had an abundance of hours. I did nothing wrong." She growled at me and said, "Listen, it's not fair to others in our department. If you get full-time and other employees don't." I held my ground and said, "This system of hiring tons of part-timers is stupid and it's hurting quality full-time employees who need the hours. If you insist on hiring all these people, there's nothing stopping them from doing exactly what I did. There are plenty of departments that could use help." I was fed up with Karen's attitude and spoke my mind. "If you think my management practice is so ridiculous, you can just leave." I was tired of her and just smiled. Okay, I will. I turned in my effects and clocked out. I said goodbye to my friends and drove home. The next day, I was enjoying sleeping in for once when I got a phone call. It was the new store manager. I answered. Hello, store manager. How are you this morning? Sorry to bother you, but could you come back to the store? I looked over the firing of you yesterday, and Karen manager was totally out of line. I talked to the other managers you have worked for, and they all had glowing reviews of your work. We are pretty short-staffed, and we need you back. I smiled. It was always nice to be needed after all. I said, if you transfer me to grocery, effective immediately, with the pay bump to boot, I will help your department when needed, but I want the grocery manager as my new boss. Done. I just pulled up your file and transferred you over. You have my word, grocery manager is your new boss, and Karen manager has no authority over you anymore. I will be having a long talk with her over her managerial practices. Believe me. I smirked and said, I will see you in 10 minutes. I drove to the store and walked in. I picked up my effects from the store manager and shook his hand. I saw the shocked form of Karen manager and snickered. I turned to a nearby customer with a smile. These last few weeks were going to be the best. The next story is called I Bit Her. So this morning I went to my dentist's office to have a root planning, which is where a dentist numbs your mouth and a dental hygienist cleans under your gums. At some point, the dental hygienist had asked me to close my mouth, and I closed my mouth halfway. She got annoyed and told me again to close my mouth. I closed it almost all the way. She gasped and barked at me, close it. The reason why I didn't close it all the way was because she was holding my bottom lip with a marijuana stick and her pinky was between my teeth. But I thought to myself, okay, if you insist on yelling at me to close my mouth, I will. So I closed my mouth and bit her pinky. She then yelled and shook her hand in pain. The last story is called Too Much Overtime. I used to work in hotels years ago. The hotel I worked at has a policy where there must be at least one staff member at the hotel 24/7. I worked the unenviable but fireproof position of part-time front desk and relief night audit, so I never knew when I was going to be working. 16-hour shifts were uncommon, but expected of me when the main night audit called in sick. I had a middle manager who got bored and liked to ruffle feathers for entertainment. Annoying, but I only had to deal with it for 2 to 3 days a week, because no one else wants to cover the night audit. They also love to sleep in and would routinely call in late in the mornings. I really couldn't stand them, but they were my boss. So after giving the essential information and passed the torch from the night audit to the morning manager and crew, I clocked out promptly and got out of the line of fire, or so I thought. I get a call waking me up at 11 AM. Because I was sleeping off my graveyard shift that night, I was told to report to the hotel for a disciplinary meeting. That includes the middle manager and the general manager of the hotel, my boss's boss. I asked them what the meeting was about, and they replied that it was due to my excessive use of overtime. I then asked them if I could come in before my shift that night, so that I could actually get some sleep for my next graveyard shift. They replied that I would have to arrive within the hour. It took me 30 minutes to drive to get there, or they would tack on insubordination or some other nonsense to my file as well. I needed the job for rent, so I complied and got to the hotel half asleep. As I'm driving, I am trying to figure out how to explain away the nice overtime additions on my paycheck. Took me a solid 10 minutes, but I remembered that the middle manager had yet to actually show up on time for the past month. That wakes me up more, and I show up to the meeting absolutely cheerful and smiling, much to the displeasure of the GM and my boss. Boss goes on a tirade about how abusing company time is horrible in many different ways. I no longer have my grin, but I am also unfazed by the dressing down and let them blow out their steam. That was likely put on them by payroll or HR about how my paychecks were getting too fat for their liking. This is confirmed by a shorter but more professional dressing down by my GM about me costing the company excess money and that I should know better because I run the hotel's books. I calmly state that all of the overtime statements were true and that I would like to compare my punch times to the staffing schedule and the start and end times of the people I was relieving in the evening and who was relieving me in the morning. I explained to them that I was only staying on until the next crew relieved me, and I had sufficient time to brief the incoming crew per the corporate policy of the hotel that it must be manned 24/7. They do, and see that there is only a 3 to 5 minute overlap between my shift and the person relieving me. The GM looks upset, and the middle manager went from smug to looking like they got their hand caught in the cookie jar, as their clock-in showed usually 7-ish, and sometimes even 7:30, when their start time was 6. I was then told by the GM that they would reimburse me for the minutes to drive to and from the hotel, as well as the duration of the meeting, and that the write-up was being dropped. In light of new information, the middle manager still made my life miserable until I left, but at least they never gave me grief about overtime after that, and actually started showing up to work at 6 AM and not snooze until 7. My paychecks were less, but at least I got more sleep, because I was now better able to beat the morning commute at the end of my shift. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.